Good afternoon, everybody. We're hoping technology's on our side right now, and
fingers crossed.
We have a phenomenal guest with us on the channel. We had mentioned that probably every second or third week we're going to try and sort of bring a guest onto the channel. And as we sort of restart or bring back the series of having guests on the channel, there's only one place to start.
Yeah.
With our main man, Chris Vishal. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing great, guys. Great to be on here, and I appreciate the ask.
Not at all, not at all. We were overdue sort of a catch up anyway, and just why not do it? Why not do it live on the Monday Q&A and get everyone sort of jump in, and we can sort of chat about 2023 and how things have been. We can chat a little 2024 and what's coming down the pipeline, and we can chat how good your hoodie game is today and how good you're looking over there. I love it. Love to see it.
I think, is it a happy belated birthdays in order for yourself?
You are correct. Yeah, yesterday I got 1 year older, so they keep ticking by faster and faster every year. But no, I appreciate that. So thank you. And it's funny. It's been so long since we've been together. I think the last time I was in studio there, it was back pre-pandemic. So it's been a while. So I'm glad we're getting a chance to catch up again.
Yeah, likewise, buddy. Likewise. What's new down in Atlanta? What's going on down at HQ?
You know, we got a lot going on here. It's been a phenomenal 2023 for Mizuno. The product's been great. The JPX line, the hot metal line's been good. The ST230 family's been really good. To me, the thing I'm most excited about is we're just now in the process of, we announced earlier this year that we are going to be breaking ground on a new research and development center, as well as like a fitting studio. So that is fully underway right now. So I've been actually just recently just looking at some of the blueprints and everything, and it's going to be state of the art. It's going to be really, really nice. So to me, that's one of the most exciting things, because it's just reinvestment back into the company with all the success we've had and all the growth we've had. Being able to utilize that just to make us even better, to me, I'm so excited about that.
Yeah, that's got to be a huge part of the grand vision of research and development, sort of maintenance of tour staff, giving them a home to get them to come and obviously connect and you know, have the tools literally at your disposal. And the week, I guess, I mean, Bearwood Lakes for Al and the guys is very much home in the UK, and you know, he, I guess, on off weeks has the truck there, and he can sort of turn his hand to all that sort of stuff. And you guys will have something that literally you can just make adjustments on the spot with your team and sort of just provide that top tier service to them.
Totally. And to me, one of the fun things about it is when you're looking at product that's, you know, a little bit further out on the development stage, to have it in your own closed door environment is a really valuable thing. You know, I'll say, I guess it was probably about a year ago, we had some products get some pictures leak of something that was well further out than we expected. So to be able to bring people, like you said, to your home, to your own little closed environment where you can do that and do all the building and tweaking, it's just exciting. And on top of that, it's an opportunity to reinvest in some new equipment to make sure that we're collecting all the data that we need and really maximizing the technology to make sure we're putting out the best stuff available.
Love it. Absolutely love it. So how much can we talk about sort of 2024 product? I mean, I know we've got embargoes that are, you know, we're in that little bit of a kind of limbo land right now, and we know there's some new stuff coming in some other markets that's live. How much can we talk about that today?
With you, I want to talk about anything, so we're good to go. So you're right, it's a funky world right now, because you're right. There's been some split launches, some stuff that launched overseas that isn't launching in the Western world until early 2024. But that being said, Google Translate's a wonderful thing, and a lot of people have been reading a little bit about it, getting excited about it. So I'm more than happy to talk about any of the 2024 stuff.
Amazing.
That's good. We actually have a good customer of ours who purchased some irons from Japan, and we've reached out to them already for him. So I think he's played a couple rounds of golf with them already. So
I can't believe it. I literally couldn't believe it. I walked in here one day and I saw them lying there, and I was like,
I thought Caldwell dropped them off.
Yeah, I thought, like, have samples arrived already? Like, are we well ahead of the game? And And then the boys told me, no, that our customer had ordered them from Japan.
Well, it's interesting, it's a tricky thing from the business side whether you have these split launches like this or not. And we debate it all the time. And I'll say that the quantities required to launch a product on a global scale are a lot greater than the quantities required to just do local launches. So while it's not the best for the speaking with media, speaking with guys like you, it's not the best to have some information leaked and other information not leaked. But that's where we're trying to be pretty transparent with what we're doing. So on some products that you haven't quite seen yet, the media embargo, which is basically the date when you can start talking about stuff, is not until January. With the Mizuno Pro stuff, because there is information out there and because there is product out there, to me, there's no reason not to talk about it.
Right. Love that. Love that. Very cool. So, as we kind of move, if we move into sort of this will be really this third generation of HMB. This will be Gen 3. Obviously, 223 for us was one of the most successful irons that we've had. And the 221 blade was just as pure a blade as they come. Where would you start looking at the line to kind of point people's attention to kind of what has been developed and what really is the sort of major value proposition from the new line?
Yeah, I mean, I'll say that the Mizuno Pro line, it's evolved year over year. And even if you start looking at like hollow body, the 245, the 225 before, the HMB before that, you can even trace that back a little bit further to like the MPH5, MPH4 back in the day before that was kind of some of the introductions to the hollow body. And even, I'm going to go even further back, MX1000, MX950, MX900. We've been doing forged hollow body technology honestly, maybe before just about anybody. So we have learned a lot over the years. And then the package that has been put in just keeps getting further and further refined, keeps getting cleaner and cleaner. So while the 223 and the 225 were phenomenal products, really great feel, really great distance packed into a player's look, the 2.4 series takes it even a step further than that. I'll talk about the 2.2 family or the 2.23 first, and what became the 2.43. I'll say with that one, it was our first time really putting a lot of speed into that. If you go back before it, it was like we were using a tie muscle design, which really wasn't a high COR design. It was more of a better players. There was forgiveness built into a feel package, but there was no distance element to it, other than maybe a degree stronger loft.
Yeah.
When you get into the 223s, that brings that chromoly material that we've been using in our hot metal line for years, bringing that to the MP family and getting that feel with that distance on a 223. It was a club that I think surprised a lot of people in terms of what it actually did. Where it's gone from there to the 243 is it just got cleaner and it got faster. To me, that's when Mizuno's firing on all cylinders. We're making clubs smaller, cleaner, and performing better. And I'll actually give a little nod to your initial reviews of 223. We brought those up. I literally played your video talking about 223 in one of our product meetings because you brought up a really interesting point, because the 223 was a little bit stuck between worlds in that the stronger irons very much lived in the player's distance category, yet the weaker irons were on the weaker side. So there became, a conversation that a fitter had to really navigate. How do I fit these? How do I connect them? How do I avoid distance gaps with those? And with that information, and honestly, it was a great bit of feedback from you. We did position the 243 a little bit more firmly in that player's distance side. So the scoring irons got a little bit stronger.
Yeah, I love that, Vosh, because I think it's something that we see in that iron is that when obviously there's a strong enough loft to, and you and I have spoken about this definitely in the past, is like when you get the loft strong enough that you start to activate the face to flex a little bit more and you can take advantage of the design properties. There seems to be that tipping point of when you add enough loft that you really aren't getting sort of the ball on the face long enough to really sort of get those same distance elements, and you start to sort of fall off a little bit.
Right.
And that's amazing to be honest, to hear how much as a group Mizuno sort of listens into the field and hears that feedback, because I do think that a lot of brands are very much in their lane, and they kind of know what's coming even before really the sort of the line that's current is even sort of began its journey, and it's amazing to hear that. That's awesome.
Well, it's funny you bring that up. We're literally in discussions of how do we replace these products right now, and in the Western world, they haven't even launched yet. So
Right.
so you're right. You have to be very cognizant of the time it takes to develop, but you can't be so stuck on what you think you know, because the good fitters of the world will expose some things and any flaws within a design. So you have to be able to have some give and take, early on in the development to make sure you're fitting the right players and making sure it's doing the right things.
Yeah, amazing. Let's just pivot quickly just into woods, and we've got a ton of questions, and I'd love to kind of hand this over to the audience as well to get into some of the stuff from them. But as you look at sort of STZ, STG, and sort of the family of woods that is now, how much satisfaction do you feel looking at how complete that family is now?
It's something that has taken some, I'll say, convincing, and also taken some proving out I'll call it, to the upper management within the company of, when you look at how many woods do you sell versus, how much traction do you get with your woods at certain categories, certain retailers, how many products do you need becomes the question.
Right.
And honestly, we hang our hat on the fitting side of the world. We want to make sure that every product we offer can be fit, can be dialed in. And the wood world has become a world that you can't do that with just one or two heads. There's so many different needs for specific players out there that, it's taken some steps to get us to where we are. But now we're at a place where we have, I'll come and I can speak just briefly to it. The ST Max driver launching in the spring, so that will give us four driver models in the spring: the STZ, the STX, the ST Max, and the STG. And while that sounds like a lot, they do four very distinctive things. And I almost want to step back a little bit and just say, like, how did we get here as well with like the Z and the X? Those were really interesting models because part of their development was based around tour support. And, Mizuno's always been one of those companies where for the longest time, you'd see a Mizuno player, you'd see a Mizuno visor, and then you'd see a Mizuno head cover. You pull it off, and there'd be a TaylorMade or Callaway or Titleist driver underneath. And that's something that we've battled for a long time. And honestly, a lot of it was our fault in terms of not having the right product mix. And that's where the STZ and the X over the last couple generations have truly become tour caliber drivers. You look at right now on the PGA Tour, in any given week, we've got 8 to 10 drivers in play, and it's a mix of almost 50-50 STZ and STX. Keith Mitchell is one of the top drivers on tour. He actually led the tour last year in total driving stats. He plays an STZ driver. That being said, when we launched those two, it looked like that was our full mix. But if you look at that, we're kind of missing the extremes on that. We're missing the super forgiving one. We're missing the ultra low spin one. And that's where the G and the Max pull into the game. And that's where, when you're going through tour fittings, I'll say that the clubs we struggled to compete with our previous line were, I'll call it a triple black diamond and like a Ping Max. A super MOI and a super low spin. And that's where the G and our ST Max really fit right in there.
I think we noticed that with fairway woods the last couple of years. A couple of companies had those LS fairway woods, titanium fairway woods, and now you guys got a great titanium fairway. I mean, the amount that are in the market, but the quality of them, they're all very, very good.
It's always telling for us, Vosh, when we do a test and the audience screams at us that, why didn't you try this one? And when we done our last test, the scream was, why didn't you have STG in there? And it's like, holy moly, like the market now demands it. That's a pretty cool place to be when the marketplace is going, like, you've really missed one of the best products here. And in its infancy, it's the kind of first, call it hot fairway wood, but being titanium with this, CG as low as it is. it's already been accepted that it's one of the best out there.
It's great. And when you think of Mizuno players, they're so passionate in terms of like what they're looking for. And I'll say that, before we had that STG fairway wood in particular, we didn't have that club for that player because it is a different golf club. When you compare that to our STZ or our STX fairway wood, that club is the ultra low spin bomber golf club that we were missing. And then it's up to us to make sure we get the performance, but also the look, the sound, and the feel. With us, that we put that hashtag of nothing feels like Mizuno on everything for a reason, because we truly believe that we have to deliver on the feel, we have to deliver on the look. And I think that's where that G titanium is really interesting. So it's funny because like I just remember the very first time where, now my role sits somewhere between like research and development and marketing. I'm kind of on a little bit of both of those. And we're talking about developing a titanium fairway wood. And the first time I looked down at it, I'm like, it's titanium, but it's the smallest fairway wood we have. Like something in your head is like, that's kind of the opposite of what you'd think it would be.
Yeah.
But then you start understanding of I'm using this material to really just strip all of the mass out of the areas you don't need it and just concentrate it low. That is where the use of material really it's a valuable thing. And it allowed us to develop a club that, man, it's as low spin as anything you can get out there.
Yeah, which is amazing.
Another nice wood is the old Mizuno Hybrid.
Yeah, Mikey's got a new addition to the bag for us.
Rekindle with a hybrid. It's nice.
I love it. It's fun. Our product mix with hybrid's been funny because it's like it wasn't part of the wood line. It wasn't part of the wood line. It was its own. The CLK lived for like 100 years, it felt like. And now with the STZ, that really took over where the CLK was before that. And we will be adding an ST Max hybrid as well. So I don't know if that's leaked or not yet, but there will be one of those out there as well. So one that's going to get a little bit higher launching, a little bit higher spinning, where that STZ one, it's a better player's hybrid for sure.
Yeah, it sits so clean, and it's replacing an iron for me, and it's done the trick. The video I think will be decent for people to watch, but I'm impressed.
Yeah,
another new club.
We were kind of looking, been kind of having a little kind of go at kind of picking apart the top end of his bag from a stroke game perspective, and just looking at like, okay, 4-iron. Can we beat 4-iron with something else? And we ended up finding a fairway wood that was better for him. And today we could have done 7-wood versus or 7-wood versus 9-wood, and then 5-iron versus 9-wood, and really neither of them were right. And there was a few different things, but we added in a 22 degree at 1+1 loft and slightly upright, and it was like
just could trap it easier, and
it was good. Everything got better. Consistency and obviously on apex, spin control got much better. The misses around the sort of the low part of the head were vastly better than the iron, and it didn't have the kind of spinny one that when you kind of get the sort of miss with the fairway wood, it really kicks up in spin, especially that much loft. It was perfect.
Yeah, I think the nice thing with that is like we're playing it shorter too. Like we're playing it closer to that 5-iron. It's probably 3-iron length more than anything, but I know Ian's a big believer in it, and then we chopped some fairway woods for myself, and it's made a huge difference. Yeah, excited to put that hybrid in the bag.
That's where that part of the bag is so fun because there's so many options that are so dramatically different in what you can do. Talking like that mid-20s to high teens in loft. You have irons, you have game improvement irons, you have players irons, you have hybrids, you have fairways, and even in the fairway wood and hybrid world, there's high spin and low spin of each of those. So to be able to mess with all of those different levers and try to see what fits in there, it's a fascinating thing that I feel like most people don't take the time to fit that part of their bag accurately. And I can just speak to myself. I've gone through a similar thing as you, where I used to go through the 3-iron, and then it kind of worked its way to kind of a driving iron in the MP Fly High range. And now I'm very similar to you. I have an STZ hybrid that I've cut down to be more like an iron length.
Yeah.
So I feel like I can do more with it. It's a more versatile club. It doesn't just have one shot in its bag, which certain other clubs felt like they did. So to be able to mess around with that part of the bag is awesome.
Yeah, you've just validated the choice for him, Bosch.
Are we building a club this
Good.
week?
Yeah. But I think a lot of people are in that stage where they can almost feel like it's some kind of slight on their game or their skill level that they kind of have to make these sort of adjustments, and take an iron out the bag is some kind of admission that you're not maybe as good as other players. But it couldn't be further from the truth. It's a game of marginal gains in scoring, and if we are going to get those little micro gains, then we'll take them. We've got 14 opportunities to make them. Let's take advantage of 14 chances.
Totally. And I feel like that when you get in those stronger lofted, those micro gains get bigger. They're less micro than you might think they are.
Yeah.
Because the difference between a miss on like a 19 or 22 degree hybrid and the miss on that similar iron, it's dramatic. Those circles, those little circles of miss just get so much tighter, and the strokes gained really start to add up in that.
Yeah, I love it. Well, we'll dive into some questions we've got. So Mikey just pointed a cool one out for us. Graham Watkins, Monday live with Vosh while I walk 18 holes. Doesn't get any better. That's pretty cool. 18 holes with the AirPods in and listening to the boys.
Someone in here, earlier, someone questioning the Lofts, and he was just curious.
Yeah, Mark.
Mark, he was, had a question, Chris. Wanted to know, JPX Lofts went from 46 in the pitching wedge in 919 to 45 in 921, and now 44 in 923. He's just curious, wanted to know some, insights on R&D on why those changed.
There's a lot that goes into a loft discussion, and it's funny. I'll say those are probably the most heated ones we have. We've got our custom fitting side, Bill Price, if anybody's met him or seen him on a lot of our PFS software stuff. He is the most adamant person of, unless you prove it to me, we will not change these lofts. You need to prove something, because it's so easy to just say, oh, just strengthen them a little bit. But the biggest things we have to prove is, did we get the CG right? Did we get the launch right? Did we get the COR to line up right? And does the gapping make sense throughout the set? Because the last thing you want to do is strengthen it, especially because you're at a point now where people require so many wedges, yet they don't think they require that many wedges. So all of a sudden, if somebody says, I don't play a gap wedge, but then their pitching wedge got to 44 degrees, then you have an issue. So we do a ton of testing in terms of gapping throughout our sets and making sure that all the gapping makes sense. So, sadly, when you are increasing the COR on the longer irons and they continue to get hotter and hotter and hotter, those gaps get larger and larger and larger. And it's not as easy to make up a gap on a scoring iron, because the loft is so great that the COR has a lesser effect on it. So if you can't increase the COR so much, then all of a sudden that spacing starts to get bigger and bigger. So we're always looking at what that spacing is and testing at a lot of different swing speed levels to see what does that gapping look like. So as our COR has increased on the longer side, it's required some, I'd say, compensations on the shorter iron side. And that's why we have gotten stronger. All of that is paired with CG manipulation to make sure that we're still getting plenty of launch out of it, and making sure that we have clubs on that bottom side as well to help fill in that gap. So you're right. There's a lot that goes into that conversation. It's not just simply, oh, well, let's just make them go longer because they're stronger. There's way more into it.
Love it. Daniel's asking about the JPX High Launch and how sort of successful has that concept been, added in something with maybe a more traditional loft sort of gapping that sort of when we talked about this quite a bit was, we really felt was missing from the demo matrix, certainly in ours and other demo matrix, having something in that forgiving but weaker loft category. Vosh, how's that been?
It's been really, really good for those who understand it. I'll still say that there's a large portion of the market and a large portion of fitters who don't quite get it. And to me, like the backstory of how we got here is the fascinating one of, there was always players irons and game improvement irons. That was always kind of like the two main categories. And somewhere a number of years ago, game improvement irons got replaced by distance irons. They became one and the same. And the result of that is clubs got stronger, clubs got hotter, clubs got honestly less forgiving. The forgiveness and the MOI values of a lot of that level of golf club has dropped. So that paired with a really fascinating bit of research that we did based off of some information we gathered from Shaft Optimizer led us to this concept that we really like to speak heavily on when you're working with fitters and when you're talking with someone getting their set dialed in. And that is, what is your threshold loft? And what I mean by threshold loft is, given a player's head speed, they can only go so strong. So, like, you can only get to, let's say I'm an 85-mile-an-hour swinger with a 7-iron, and I hand you a 19-degree 5-iron. It's just not going to work. I don't care how forgiving, how much technology you pack in. Physics takes over. Like, the technology, the COR cannot compensate for literally just lack of loft on a golf club. So with that in mind, we recognize that so many players were missing out on the ability to get fit into a hot metal set because that hot metal set had gotten so strong. So that's where the concept of Hot Metal High Launch came about, is let's pack all of those technologies into something that is more forgiving and more playable to a slower swing speed player. So you're right. I'd say for a player who understands it, a fitter who understands it, it unlocks a lot of golf clubs and a lot of potential for players. For those who don't understand it, they'll be like, well, why did that go so short? Yeah, it went high, but it went short. But it didn't necessarily go short in terms of where's it going to stop and where's it going to land. It's just getting it fitted in is so key with that golf club to understanding it.
Yeah, you fit a good friend of ours into a set of those earlier in the year, and he's a Florida boy, and he was back and forth throughout the winter, and he was like, boys, he goes, these irons he hit it so low. Yeah. And he came back and he's like, I'm not used to the distance yet. He goes, because like you said, he thinks he's lost a bit of distance, but he hasn't. Right. It's just the peak height for him it must have been 25 feet difference for him. It was a game changer.
Yeah. Well, I'd love to hear just from your side, like, fitting on mats and stuff like that. I know sometimes spin rate's a little bit of a thing, like, and modern golf clubs, spin rate's an issue. So I'm curious if you've seen the industry start to fix things. Do you think we've fixed enough? Do you think there's still room to go? I'm curious from the fitter's point of view what you feel.
Yeah, I think the industry's still moving sort of in the other sort of direction, and they're only looking at one solution, which is CG down, just to try to, okay, our lofts are getting stronger, but our launch is now, went from 17 to 19, but it doesn't really talk to the conversation of any fluctuation in spin takes those two elements of increased ball speed, increased launch, and such a wide delta in spin, and all we've done is just create such large gaps from front to back when we hit these irons that really our irons start blending into one another. Does the lie angle dictate that I can go 2 clubs less? Because all of a sudden I'm going to fall into the category of a 7-iron, versus the 9-iron or whatever that may be. So I just think it's too many companies are going at a one-dimensional fix, which is let's just keep going stronger and let's just keep using multi-material to pull CG down in order to sort of manipulate launch.
Yeah, no, totally agree. And it feels like there's so many clubs right now are because they're relying on CG depth. You're right, launch goes up, but spin typically drops when that sweet spot gets lower. So you got to get it as deep as possible. And it feels like there's a lot of fittings that happen in an acceptable spin range, but on the lower end of acceptable. It's like, and from there, you're on a razor's edge of, if I hit one a little high on the face, or if I get a little something in between the ball, then all of a sudden it does something squirrely, and you see some golf balls that don't fly like they should, as opposed to it felt like for a while clubs were being fit in the middle of a range, a middle of a spin range. So you had room with spin on the top or the bottom side. If you spun one a little extra or spun one a little bit less. Now it feels like we're living on that lower end of, is it an acceptable level on that shot versus Absolutely. Is my average going to be the acceptable level?
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, I guess it's a bit of maybe a fortunate sort of coincidence or sort of fortunate just, chain of events that golf ball seems to have become a larger part of the conversation as the iron trend has went the way in the direction it has. I think before, when lofts were a bit weaker and people weren't kind of stressing the threshold and spin, it was kind of like, well, most golf balls kind of could fit into the mix here. You could kind of interchange different companies. Now you're having to be very, very picky about the golf ball you put someone in, because the wrong one could be a disaster.
Right, totally agree. I love going back to like Tiger being a guy who wants the spinniest golf ball he can find,
Right.
and let him figure out how to take the spin off.
Yeah.
It's like, to me, that's such a smart way to do things, where I feel like so many people are, you're right, picking a golf ball based off of one club in the bag of,
Yeah.
I'm used to hitting this slice and my spin rate's too high. Let me pull a golf ball that pulls that spin rate way down, where that is going to hurt 11 clubs, 12 clubs in your bag to help one. So you're right. There's so many facets to getting a good fitting and making sure that you're not, overlooking one thing for another.
Yeah, for sure, Vosh. Chris Ellerick, Vosh, I've adored the T22 since receiving them at Sawgrass when we played with the Hackers Paradise guys in 2022. How do T24 improve on T22?
Good to see you again, and glad you enjoyed the wedges. I'll say that the T24s are a really nice upgrade to T22. We haven't done anything dramatic where there won't be like unrecognizable from where we were, but I'll say that we made the refinements that we wanted to make, and those refinements were a lot around the head size and the shaping as well. So with that T series, we got a little bit smaller, a little bit lower in the heel, a little bit shorter in the toe heel direction, and then we really refined the sole grinds as well as the actual groove profile as well. So we added a sole grind, which I felt like we were missing for a really long time, which is more that V-type grind, where that bounce lives a little bit more on that leading edge with a really aggressive trailing edge grind. I think that's a really nice addition to it. And then on the quad cut, we're calling it quad cut plus grooves. We've had our quad cut grooves for a while. We really optimized those profiles to be even more suited for particular shots. On the stronger lofted, we got even narrower. On the weaker lofted, we got even wider. And we changed, and this is going to get into the engineering design side of it a little bit. We changed from like a spherical or like a radius groove holder to a conical, and that with the conic you can control a little bit greater the angle that groove enters the wedge and exits the wedge as well. And that just little bit of control living within that USGA RNA tolerance gives us that much more consistency on the ball flight. So again, some really nice refinements to it. And again, it's that Mizuno Grain Flow Forge feel. So give them a swing if you haven't.
I love it.
This is a good one, and this was talked a lot over some group chats with some buddies yesterday. With the golf ball rollback expected to be announced, how will that affect club design in the future?
I wish I knew right now. I'm not positive. I hate to say that I don't have the answer to that, but it will have an effect, absolutely. I think I'm really curious to get just the full detail of everything, but there's a chance that optimal isn't the optimal that we know right now. We've all become very ingrained in knowing at this ball speed, this is the launch angle, this is the spin rate that I need, this is going to be optimal carry, this is going to be optimal landing angle. Those optimals could change. That being said, I don't think it's going to change to the point that a well-fit set of clubs right now all of a sudden just straight up doesn't work, but it may no longer be optimal as well. So what that means from our side, do we need to work on lowering spin? I don't know. It doesn't feel like it. I feel like we're already at a threshold of too low a spin right off the bat. So honestly, it could help some players. If it becomes a spinnier golf ball with a little bit less compression, that it does have a little bit more spin on it, that could be good for some players. So that's a roundabout answer to say I don't know, but I'm really curious to have some of the new rules just really laid out to understand exactly what we're looking from and start breaking down and dissecting the project from there, because there will be some changes for sure.
We were down, Vosh, in your neck of the woods at the Bobby Jones Club at the World Long Drive Championship with the guys, and the golf ball that was used for the tournament, there was a lot of talk amongst the players of it being a much lower compression golf ball than they're used to using in the past with some of the Volvic or Pinnacle or some of the really high compression golf balls. And I think it was somewhere in the kind of mid 80s, the Bridgestone ball that was being used, and a lot of the players were talking about that. They're trying to find a sort of sweet spot delivery, like how the ball reacted really, really well. It actually wasn't helping the guys that were the highest speed. It was sort of really giving the kind of mid-speed players not an advantage, but allowing them sort of to be very competitive, and it wasn't just an all-out speed fest. And you know, I kind of when I started thinking about maybe the rollback and different levers that the USGA can pull, you know, it may start to kind of be a little bit more of that it sort of brings, it compresses the group a little bit based on the golf ball's performance. Right. But like you, I mean, we're still guessing as to, you know, what are we going to need to adjust as club fitters to sort of to offset. You know, we've started talking about it in videos. We just done our first video this morning. How do we offset the rollback? You know, because we want golfers being longer and optimized and these things, and it's going to hopefully, especially in the short term, I think it's going to be more vital than ever before to not be giving up your little percentage points on strike location, on spin loft, on whatever it might be, but you know, more important than ever before to just be dialed in.
Yeah, absolutely right. And it's going to be really interesting, and it brings the conversation of compression to the forefront and understanding what's the proper compression. I think there's a lot of misunderstanding in terms of what compression means to a player. I know I grew up thinking compression meant one thing and thinking I needed to be in the red ball versus the black ball because of a head speed, whatever. But there's so much more that goes into it. So yeah, you're right. There's going to be a lot of learning from on all fronts.
I love it. Pointless is saying, hello, I'm a scratch golfer playing 2-2-3s, 4 to pitch and wedge. Thinking of blending 4 and 5. What do you guys recommend? So, yeah, if someone, I mean, interested in looking to blend the 4 and 5, because as we talked about, those 4 and 5s do tend to play really quick and sort of, they kind of almost are somewhat like made that way that they're blended. But what do you see, Vosh? If somebody's maybe struggled with 4 and 5 and 2-2-3s, what direction would you point them?
Yeah, so with the 2-2-3s, like you said, there's almost a combo set built into them because the scoring irons get so strong and get so hot. But what I'd look at doing is, you know, you kind of need to know a step beyond that as well. What's after your 5? So to me, or what's after your 4, I should say, because the thing I always like to do is, and don't just make things with one step. I like to connect the dots as evenly as possible. So like if I were looking to take a set of 2-2-3s, let's call it to a 5 wood or something like that. What I would look at doing is if there's 2 gaps in there, then I would make one jump and then another jump that's not necessarily the same jump. So like I see a lot of players on the higher end side would take maybe a 2-2-5 or a 2-4-5 coming up as the 5, go to a fly high iron type driving iron on the 4, and then get it to your fairway wood there. That way you're getting a jump in. You know, on 1, you're getting a jump in COR, but you're keeping a very similar shaft. Then all of a sudden you're getting even more COR, but you're changing shaft to a 370 versus a 355. Then you're working your way all the way up to a fairway wood performance. So I always like to say you really got to know the extremes to connect those dots. But what I would do is I would connect it in multiple steps.
I love that. Love that. Very cool.
There's someone we haven't seen in a while.
Let's
Is
go.
this a meeting of Illuminati of golf? This was asked a couple times. Our good friend from Ireland he has a Mizuno putter. He does have an Omoy, and he was asking about if you could dive into the center shaft kind of tech behind the Omoy putters.
Yeah, so the Amoe, the number 5 is our center shaft one, and honestly, that's the one I use. That's the one I love. The concept behind Amoe, which I know a lot of people mispronounce it or don't understand exactly what it is. Amoe it's the Japanese word for heavy, and what it is and what we kind of executed on this is a very traditional Mizuno design, one-piece forged, milled, mild carbon steel, but a larger moment of inertia built into that based off of using optimization of components and parts to get a larger MOI. It just, by dumb luck, MOI is within MOE. So the whole concept behind it is let's make some clean looking clubs. We've got a Fang style, we've got an Answer style, or sorry, a Plumber's Neck style, whatever I can allowed to say, and then a center shafted. But all of those that will perform and be more stable than the head shape almost appears. To me, the exciting thing about that center shafted one is we haven't really offered a center shafted product in a long time. We've had some face balance with double bends. We've had some face balance with longer necks and stuff like that, but not just that straight center shaft. And I love that because to me it is just ultra stable, and it for that straight back, straight through, not really arcing, not really swinging. That center shaft is so good. And maybe I'm just a little convinced because I've watched Luke Donald putt with a center shafted putter for so long and just seeing how it's on rails. I love the concept of the MOE and the center shaft. The heavier head, the center shaft, it just tracks.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Dive into John Jensen. John is sending a little Christmas money for the boys for some teas. Will Mizuno make more upright lofts and JPX model at some point? Always want to buy a set, but they're too flat. Maybe talk about kind of starting lie angles and how sort of lie angles are decided as a starting point, Vosh, and within that, what's the range of sort of manipulation or customization?
Yeah, so all of our lie angles, we're at a standard 61.5 on our 7-iron. I know a lot of OEMs started on closer to 62.5 or 63. So I'd say we are on the flatter side of the industry. A lot of that comes from information we've gathered with Shaft Optimizer in terms of where people get dialed in. That being said, I think we have learned a little bit over the last couple generations now that we've had our digital lie angle measurement, where I'll say, I would, for the first time in my Mizuno career, I'd say we probably are a little bit too flat. We're maybe just a touch flatter than we should be. And you may see that adjust in the future, maybe not, but we're looking at that. That being said, again, I've talked about being able to get fit for everything. Within our JPX line, we have upright heads available. They start at 2 degrees upright, and then all of our forgings are able to be bent plus or minus 3 degrees, our castings plus or minus 2 degrees. So on our JPX hot metal line, if we're 61.5 standard, that's 63.5 starting point, we can get up to 65.5 on a 7-iron. So what would be about 4 up or 1 or 2 up compared to, depending on who you're measuring against. So there's definitely the ability to go more upright. And I'll say those bendability numbers are a little bit conservative. I'd say there's always an option to go a little bit more upright. And there's also the option to, get uprightness from another lever, like you potentially go another 1/4 inch long or something. There's other ways to make that club play dynamically more upright. So all that to say, we really dial everything in to be able to be custom fit. And I'll say that a lot of players, I think, get fit a little bit too upright, just because it's very easy if you aren't working with an established fitter who really, really understands the dynamics of the golf swing. It's really easy for a lie board to show a toe impact based off of a closed club face, based off over the top, based off of a lot of different things that make people think they need more upright than they do. I'll say, in the years of fitting and years of working with players, to see someone above 65, 64 is pretty rare. You got to have something funky going on. So I think that we hit the meat of the bell curve. So, and again, you guys are the fitters, so I lean on you a little bit to say if you agree with that or not.
Yeah, I mean, we rarely. Yeah. I mean, 63.5. I hate to say, sounds like more drastic for the customers that we've seen. We've been doing it long enough. So, there is the odd one that you need that 65, but I mean that's a lot. That is a lot of lie angle.
In the sort of in the 3 dimensions that you've got to work with of the delivery, if we're talking that we need to offset lie angle that much, I'm more likely to shift one of the other dimensions of the delivery rather than continue to go in that direction. Just changing lie angle. I'd probably start moving them towards manipulating face to path relationship based on probably path and trying to get face to be more left than having to just fix it with lie.
I'm the perfect example of that. Of I don't care how upright a golf club you get me, I'll make a toe impact. I can go ahead and do that. So it can tell me the 70-degree lie angle, but I know that's not real. So you're right. It's a face to path. It's a club path thing that I think is leading to that, because I've always had that slightly over the top move and slightly pull across move that just delivers that club a little bit shut and that toe impact. So yeah, so you're right. Based off of all the information we've gathered, we've seen like the center of the bell curve on our measurement is right around 62 degrees in terms of being what's like really the where should the middle of that bell curve be, and then the extremes get fewer and fewer.
Right, right. Yeah, love it, love it. And so, John, I think in terms of lie angles, I mean, there's plenty of adjustment within the line, that you can get the lie angle where you need it if you have the right, obviously, shaft, the right kind of set overall. There's more than enough manipulation of those lie angles, John. It's a good one from Vincent. How is are there plans for a 7-wood sort of as part of the family?
There are plans for one. It's funny. We are obviously always looking at what the trends are out there, and for the longest time, like I'll speak to the STG family that's out right now. There's a 3-wood and a 5-wood, and typically that better player didn't play that 5-wood for a long time. And now you're seeing better players opting for 7-woods, 9-woods, just because of the location of the center of gravity on some of these fairway woods. They're no longer just super spinny, balloony golf clubs. So I'll say in the development of STG, originally there was no 5-wood. That 5-wood was added in the development as we were going on, as we started to recognize that trend and that need for it. When you see some stuff come for us in the spring and the ST Max line, there will be a 7-wood within that line as well. Because you're right, we've missed out on those higher lofted fairway woods, and we definitely recognize that the 7-wood of 2023 is not the 7-wood of 1995. Right. So we definitely are looking towards that direction.
Amazing. Good year too, 1995. Strong, fine wine.
It's.
Let's grab one more for Vosh. Let's see. Let's grab this one. Why do some people say JPX 923 Tour is more forgiving than hot metal? I haven't heard anyone say that.
Huh. Okay. Let me think why that could be.
Why would someone think that? That's.
I need to hit some golf balls after this.
I haven't heard.
Well, it's funny. All right. I'll play devil's advocate and try to answer why it could be more forgiving. Is, if you want to play the card, and I talked earlier on about threshold loft and what can players handle and what can players not handle. I talked about the ability for, a certain swing speed player to be able to handle 22 degrees or 23 degrees or 24 degrees. If you're looking at it straight based off of loft, I could argue that a lower swing speed player could go deeper into a line of blades than they could a line of hot metals, because the lofts themselves are that much weaker. Technology can do a lot, CG can do a lot, COR can do a lot, but it can't fix loft. Loft is such a dominant player in launch angle. So, if somebody is on the lower swing speed side and struggles to get launch, I could see that if they're a solid ball striker, relatively consistent ball striker, they could get away and maybe go deeper into a set of tours or muscle backs or something. They could hot metals, because that 7-iron of the hot metal is 28.5 versus a 32 or 34 degree 7-iron. Those are two drastically different 7-irons. So if you're talking straight physics in terms of like what's the MOI, how do you define forgiveness, hot metal is going to be more forgiving, hot metal high launch more forgiving than that. But when the fitting world comes into it, there's definitely an element to look at in terms of, well, can I play the spec of that technology?
Right. Love it. Great answer. Vosh, we could have you here all day and answer questions. I'm sure the audience would keep them coming, but being respectful of your time, Buddy, thank you so much for joining us. It's been far too long. Not too long until we see you at the PGA show, though. About, what,
It's
6
funny.
weeks?
I am going to miss the PGA show this year because I've got exciting news. I'm expecting a daughter come the end of this year.
Amazing,
Congrats.
amazing. Oh, dude, that's so good.
So I
good.
will be opting out of PGA show, which I will miss it dearly. But
Yeah.
at the same time, we will reconnect after that. So I look
We
forward
definitely will.
to getting together again soon.
Yeah, it gives us a good excuse to come down and see you. So,
Definitely.
yeah, we'll do that. We'll come down in the spring and we'll plan something to do some content around the new iron line. And it wouldn't be a proper launch if we didn't do it with you in person.
Love it, and I'd love to come up to Toronto. It's been too long, so let's make that happen again.
Too long.
Awesome.
Love it.
Awesome. All right, pal. We'll have a great Christmas. Best to Tracy and Noah, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Great
buddy.
to see you.
See you, bud. Okay.
Oh, great job.
Yeah, that was awesome. There's no one like it.
So good.
There's no one like Vosh for
Smart. I mean, I think it's cool they've
Yeah.
taken R&D guy and they've made him their marketing guy. That could go two ways.
Yeah.
That could go where people are like, this guy's speaking a different language.
Yeah.
Or it goes to someone like him where it's like, okay, he's personable. He understands where we're coming from. He's not just just an engineer. We've sat in some rooms with some people and we're like, shoot me now. Whereas that's just it's personable. It's one of the lads.
The best bridge in golf between R&D and fitting, the golfer, like, can bridge any way you want.
Yeah.
Which is an amazing skill set. It really is. There's no one like him. Okay, guys, let's grab a couple more. What do we got here? Let's go. We'll get kind of 8 more minutes. Let's dive into anything sort of a wider sort of spectrum on the questions. What else do we have? Let's see. Dave Fogel would like to see a challenge with shaft optimizer versus Mikey.
I think fitting Dave Fogel would be a challenge in itself.
What do you think would be the hardest part about it?
Having to listen to him speak.
Having to listen to him ask you for an Automax golf ball.
Exactly. I sent 2 in the mail, and they got denied at the border.
Oh, too bad.
No, they're not allowed in the United States of America.
Too fast.
Too fast. Oof.
Too fast.
Illegal. There was one here. This is a non-Mizuno related. Just from a fitting point of view, I fade everything in the bag with the exception of fairwood. It's always a draw, whatever the head or shaft. Could this be a CG issue?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep, without a doubt, Daniel. I mean, CG is one part of it. You can sort of obviously not manipulate, but you can offset a little bit of that CG behavior or the face angle and how the CG is causing the face angle to behave. You can offset that, but ultimately you're right in what you say. It might be, Daniel might be one of the type of players that, something like STZ 16 degree turn down to 14 degrees because that allows the face, the CG to be so close to the face, it allows the dynamic loft to be down, it allows the face angle to be right. We can get the shaft being a little bit shorter, which gets the dynamic lie angle to be a little bit flatter. It allows the swing plane to be a little bit steeper. Right? Those, when we start to talk about fittings and those multiple wins, you just list like 5 or 6 wins in a row that you can get for somebody who's struggling with a fairway wood going left. So that's kind of something that would be a good solution.
Let's talk about the real important stuff. Bosch is a nice guy, but let's talk about the real important stuff.
What's important?
Our
What's more
boy
important?
T-Dubs played 72 holes of golf.
He did.
Maybe his chipping wasn't great, but he drove the ball great.
He made lots of birdies.
Made lots of birdies, couple bogeys. I blame his caddy. But I thought, well done, Tiger Woods. See you in April wearing a green jacket.
You'll see him before April. I mean, it sounds like he's...
But he'll win in April.
Okay.
The field, I don't care. I'm that confident.
Okay.
There's one. I'll tell you one thing. I was impressed how he drove the ball. I thought
Yeah,
the
he's
boy's
driving it nice.
quick. I think he needs to shed a few pounds, like just kind of slim down a wee bit. He looked a bit
bulky.
Yeah, the walk's a little ginger, but I mean, who wouldn't? If you had one leg, you'd be walking gingerly too.
Definitely.
very amazing weekend. It's the most golf I've watched since the majors have ended.
He can offset everything, and even pain. He can, he has offset pain. 2008 at Torrey Pines, the guy was playing with multiple fractures in his leg. He can play with pain. There's a point though where you saw some of the images of him walking at Augusta when the weather got bad last year, and like that was not bearable.
No, it was too early for him to come back. I mean, the guy's got an ankle replacement, and I've got a family member that's had ankle replacements. I mean, it's no joke. It is brutal. But a nice win by Scotty Scheffler, world number one.
Is he back to world number one now?
He's always been world number one. Always a great player, best ball striker out there. Putting was decent with a little
Olsen?
Yeah, a little, what's the word I'm looking for? Niche product? Not niche product, whatever. But yeah, Scotty Scheffler won, Tiger's back. Big deal if John Rahm goes to live. See you later. Oof. Tiger's back.
Oof, big deal.
Big deal, big schmeal.
He is a big deal. All right. Let's see. Graham's asking, is there anything that can be done? Oof. Done to change gapping?
I'll tell you, my golf bag's been rejuvenated.
Your golf bag.
It's about time.
Oh, you at least have something to work with now. You're stopped swinging at it like a wee lassie.
I know. Years ago, you should have told me to swing faster.
Years ago, you should have listened to me. Honestly. Joe's tried to tell you. I tried to tell you.
Joe's. Look what happened when he was hitting 5 balls in a row. He blew his back out.
He blew his back out. Sean D's with you. Mikey, I'm with you in T-dubs. Incoming green jacket. Question, what are the releases for shafts? Any news? Anything exciting? What do we see?
I have seen nothing. Have I seen nothing? Oh, no, there's some new Mitsubishi coming.
Yep. What is old is new?
Oh, rekindle an old flame. Iron shafts, I haven't seen anything. There's got to be a couple new things from Acro, maybe.
There will be, yep.
I mean, we won't see them at the PJ show or anything like that, but
no.
We'll hear about it.
We will.
There's another Denali hybrid.
Is there?
And another wood shaft.
When are the Denali's going to be available in
normal flex?
Normal person flex.
Not 60 times X. I don't know.
Whisker's asking, what is the dollar loss associated with a rollback? Hard to say.
Stupid. The governing bodies of golf, especially the USGA, need to work harder on getting people into the game more. Who cares about rolling a golf ball back? Hit it far. Get on the journey.
Yeah, it just to me seems a very one-dimensional solution to just go after that. When are we getting Ronnie the Rocket on the speed training?
He texted us over the weekend.
He's another one that's as frustrating as Mikey boy here. We've been telling him for forever, just get moving. Start moving your body. The guy takes more lessons than anyone. Just move your body. Move it faster. Move it. Disregard where it goes for a second.
Oh well.
Just when Mikey's getting into the 150 ball speed, 160 actually. Dave Fogel. Do you think we spend any time together?
That was weird. Don't copy me.
I question myself on so many levels every time we say the exact same thing. I'm like, oh.
Great minds think alike. Right?
Right, pal.
Franz.
Right, one or two more.
Franz Just.
You love a pronunciation.
No, that's how you say it. It's probably Franz, actually.
Go on then.
Any reason why Mikey did not include the SCG Fairway in the video trying to replace Ian's Sim 2? Because he's stubborn, and you could have given him something that beat it by 600 yards, 100 feet higher, and go in the hole automatically, and he wouldn't have played it.
I actually have since changed out that fairway wood, as you well know.
Yeah, that won't last.
It will.
Nah.
Yeah. Sure. How many bets are we going to have in the live that you have to owe me on? Oh, we kept in steak dinners next year. Okay. Let's see. Richard is asking, why did Mizuno stop making mid-range irons? It's premium or nothing. Mid-range irons. What were the mid-range irons that they used to make?
Easy. Remember that?
Yeah, I guess it was what JPX is though.
Yeah.
I just think they've elevated the mid-range.
I think,
sort of offering.
and like price range, I think they're right amongst the rest of the players.
Without a doubt, they're definitely not on the more expensive side. That's for sure.
No.
Not again.
Remember,
not
folks,
in
there's
JPX.
irons out there that are $600 a head. So they're priced perfectly.
No, they are. They're priced perfectly. They really, really are. Okay, will we get cracking on? Busy day ahead. We've been doing some testing. What did we do with you first?
I've hit too many balls today.
What did you do first?
We did 7 wood, 9 wood.
Yeah, we completed Mikey's long game gap. Hide it, you're ruining the videos.
Like it, subscribe.
I
He
like
needs
and
a follow.
Yes. We done that first, and then we done a driver optimization video. Starting to focus, like we talked about with Vosh, we're starting to talk about offsetting this rollback. Nobody wants to lose distance. I don't. You don't.
No.
You don't. None of us do. So we're going to start trying to talk about ways in which you can roll that back, making a dedicated series that, if you are losing distance, just go straight to this playlist. You'll get it all back. Don't worry.
I'll tell you, folks, saw a couple 300 balls today. It was pretty good. I'm telling you, go buy Super Speed. Tell them Ian and Mike sent you. But you don't have to tell them that, but buy it. I'm a believer. I believe. I'm healed.
Your short drive itis has been healed.
Aye, Gonzo. Call me Daddy Longball.
Honestly, you've never seen a more mopey, whiny little...
What do you mean? When?
Wait, I just want to hit it far. That's what you used to say. Oh, I want to hit it.
Do I sound like that, dummy?
Aye, you're like a Disney character. Oh, I want to hit it 75. That's what you used to do. And now you're hitting it 300 plus.
Past you. You'll be hitting it shorter.
Listen,
You're
I'll
getting
be
old.
happy for you.
I'll be happy
Pass
for
the
you.
torch. Pass the torch. No, I will. I'll be
Will you what?
still 40 yards on. I'm getting longer as well. Nothing. Right, guys, have a great week. Lots of good stuff coming. We're going to do some putter studio testing this afternoon. We have...
Hold the bus. Did you read this one?
What?
Keegan Bradley said he tested a ball in the rollback specs and it was a huge distance loss. Oof.
Like Voss said, there's going to be lots of layers, to this. So...
I think the USJ needs to step it up.
What do you mean step it up?
Like, cut the crap with that and work on other stuff. The RNA has nothing to do with it.
Yeah, Brian knows. Mikey wants to be head of the RNA.
One day.
Head of the RNA. All right, guys, we will see you next week. We won't see you next week.
No, we are among the cacti.
Cacti. We are
Rattlesnakes.
out in Scottsdale for some product launch event. We were supposed to be at a product launch event this week. Unfortunately,
He's oot. Doing an oot.
doing a noot. Hi. For right now, yes, can't make that one, but yes, we will hopefully be traveling as of next week.
Suntans?
Would be nice.
Nice. Right,
Nice.
toodaloo everyone.
See you later, guys.